Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Wraith, and today I'm going to be going through all the good factions from the Army of the Lord of Rings book in very quick succession, just to give beginners out there an idea who are thinking of starting their first army. Now, picking your first army is quite an investment, and I think it can either make or break a game for you. Some people are quite tenacious and they can pick an army that they don't do so well with and continue, but a lot of people I've noticed will pick an army, not quite sure what it does, and it doesn't play to the style they like. So, it's pretty simple with this. I'm going to give my personal opinion on most of these. So, I'll be going strong, medium, less strong, okay? Not so strong. Saying that doesn't mean not so strong armies are rubbish, okay? I do play factions that are considered not so strong, and I do quite well with them. It's all about how you play, tactics, and a lot of it is based on the scenario, because some scenarios can make or break a game for certain factions, and some matchups also are bad for some players. So I personally, with my Goblin Town, would not like to face Moria with a Balrog in Contest of Champions. Sure, I've got the Goblin King, but the Balrog is probably going to kill a hell of a lot more than I will. Putting that aside, we're going to jump in. This is, like I said, for beginners, to give them a basic idea of what kind of army they might be getting into. First up, the Fellowship. Fellowship, I'd say, relatively weak. Just because, or not weak, lower tier, because they are an elite army and they struggle with a lot of scenarios. If you've got Contest of Champions, you're going to struggle anyway if you bring Gandalf, because Gandalf is not good at killing in combat. So there is a weakness there. On the other side of that, though, you pretty much, well, you've got a army full of heroes. So you've got might across the board, and you're fearless because of Frodo, and you never count as being broken as long as Frodo is alive on the battlefield, pretty much. So it's a first starting army for a lot of people. If you rock up with this to a tournament, I wouldn't hold your breath on winning it. The only way I see them making them ultimately more competitive is by allying with Misty Mountains or something like that. So generically, you're going to be wanting to pick your positions correctly, and you need to be inflicting the most amount of damage as you possibly can with all of your heroes, i.e. Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas want to be racking up the kills, and Gandalf wants to be protecting people with Protection of the Valor or Blinding Light. Moving on, the Shire. I'd say medium, just because I've seen them do particularly well in some events because of the amount of firepower they have, because every one of your 4-point hobbits can lug a stone at their opponent. 8-inch range, only strength 1, but they're hitting on 3s, and if you throw enough pebbles at people, they will go down. You don't have very strong heroes at all, but it's not about the heroes that make the hobbits work. It is the fact they have so many numbers, and they all have woodland creature, so they can run through the woods. That pretty much sums them up. They're all really squishy, but they're really, really cheap, and you do have access to Frodo being a 6-inch banner, and they're resistant to magic, most of them, which is fantastic, as well as their archers with their short bows rocking in at 5 points model is fantastic, especially when you've got so many other hobbits. Your 33% bow limit, you'll still have a lot of bows, and you want to bring the bows, because hobbit archers are amazing. Alliances are ideal, especially with rangers. Anyway, moving on to the said rangers. Rangers, again, we've got another hero-based army. They are rather good. I think they fare better than the Fellowship, in my opinion, from what I've seen against them. So I'm going to put them in the... we'll go mid-tier with the Rangers, just because they can be amazing. Yeah, they all get an extra attack as long as they have the infantry keyword. You have some powerful heroes, including Strider, you've got Arathorn, and you've got Halbarad with his amazing banner that makes everyone fearless and have a banner reroll within 6 inches of him. Moving along from that, they're all fantastic at shooting, and you can hide in the woods and pepper your opponents with your strength 2 bows if you wish. And they're all fight 4 for your basic dudes. Your Rangers of the North are very solid, but you kind of want to be going for the Dunedanes, or Dunedanes, whatever. 25 points, relatively cheap. 1 might, 1 will, 1 fate. Fight 4, 2 attacks because of the army bonus. They come with a sword and a bone. You can give them a spear for a point. Very solid, very solid. Good with allies, okay? Good with allies. They like working with the Shire. Moving on. we have got Numenor. Numenor, absolutely fantastic. I would rate them relatively strong. They're not top tier, but they can be, I think, to an extent. I've seen some very strong lists, but none that have won an event that I have seen. So I'm going to still class them as strong, because they have absolutely insanely strong heroes. Expensive, but very strong, with the likes of Elendil rocking around at fight 7 with his basically burly two-handed sword, and he can call a heroic combat for free each turn without using might, which helps him rack up kills, which you're going to want to be doing with him. Isildur, he's pretty much slightly worse than Elendil, but he can have the ring, and that's amazing. Pretty much I think only Sauron tops him off in the rung order, so you're probably going to have the ring against most of your games and your opponents, so half your opponent's fight values. And finally, the warriors are all strength 4, fight 4, which is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. A nice strength 4 hit is always good, because strength 4 is so much better than strength 3, because a lot of things are defense 6, and 4s against defense 6 is 5s rather than 6s, if that makes sense. So very good, but again, better when paired with the elves. Minas Tirith, I would probably place these in God tier, because they seem to be amazing at everything, very versatile. You've got guys in heavy plate armor that can form shield walls to hold objectives, and you have some very powerful heroes at your disposal. You of course got King Elisar, very expensive for 225 points, but he makes up for it, because he's high defense, he's fight 6, 3 might, and you get a 3 point of might at the start of each turn. You've got the likes of Gandalf the White, also very expensive, but a very good spellcaster. And yeah, you've got everything. You can make your list into heavy shield wall, where all your guys are fight 5 with Boromir with his banner, because you're going to want to bring Bannermere with you, because he's amazing, giving all your guys within 6 inches a +1 to their fight value, and giving them a banner reroll. Stick that in a shield wall where they have Citadel Guard supporting the front line or something. Yeah, you can get up to fight 5. Otherwise, fight 4 will do if you just want normal warriors of Minas Tirith with shields, because you're going to want to give them shields for shield wall. So very hard to kill, and they've got probably the most aggressive shooting and best shooting in the game, in my opinion, apart from maybe Serpent Horde, just because they've got access to rangers with their bows, and they've of course got their Avenger Bolt Thrower, which is absolutely ridiculous and can kill pretty much anything, from Mummex to the Dark Lord himself, at strength 7, d6 shots, and it's possible to get it to do d6 and picking the highest amount of shots. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, God tier list, pretty much, army, especially if you bring someone like Galadriel with you. Next, we've got the fiefdoms. So, these are strong, in my opinion, purely for the fact that their cavalry is, I would say, probably the best cavalry, but they are quite expensive. You want to bring Prince Imrahil, because he has got a ridiculous 12-inch banner ability, and they get a hell of a lot of bonuses for being near their heroes. So Prince Imrahil giving them all the +1 fight value, plus a banner reroll for 12 inches. And he is a hero of legend, and his standfast is 12 inches as well. You've got Forlong, who lets you reroll 1s when wounding for all your troops. And you have got Angmar, who gives everyone fearless within 6 inches of him. But yeah, other than that, the Knights of Dol Amroth, or Swan Knights, are fantastic. Rocking at fight 4, fight 5 with Imrahil nearby. Strength 3, defense 6, very respectable. Give them lances and they'll do some very good killing for you. You want some men at arms, because they're awesome. And yeah, they're very good for supporting if you've got infantry on foot, or they can just support each other, because they've got pikes. So you can have 3 ranks fighting rather than just the 2, so front rank and second rank. Anyway, moving on. We have got the Dead of Don Harrow. Dead of Don Harrow are extremely strong when worked correctly. As a standalone army, no, not so much, in my opinion. You do want Strider with you. But then you either have to take the Legendary Legion, which is the Return of the King, which is absolutely fantastic. Only downside is Strider can't have a horse, but this is not about Strider. But other than that, very strong. King of the Dead is fantastic. He's got an instant kill attack, so if any unsuffered wounds come from the King of the Dead, they instantly die no matter what. And if you go against a Balrog or a Mimic, where they only take half wounds, you can get extremely lucky and roll very high with both your wound rolls, because you've got 2 attacks and still one-shot them pretty much. And your aura, that lets you give everyone -1 courage, because guess what? You don't go against defense. All your boys go against the opponent's courage as their defense. That's right. And they're -1 when they're within 12 of the King of the Dead. So essentially -1 defense. Your Warriors of the Dead are the hardest troops in the game, in my opinion, for the fact that they are defense 8, but they're killing most of their opponents on 4s, if not 3s, sometimes 5s if you're fighting elves. But yeah, overall, very solid. Just, you want to bring Strider, just for the might. That's the only downside, they don't have much might. And then the Heralds of the Dead just make your King of the Dead so much more valuable. So bring one of them. Next on, Arnor. So I'm going to give these mid-tier, purely because they can have Hobbit archers along with everything else. They do need a bit of love, but basically what you want to do is you want to bring the 2 heroes, because why not? And they hate Angmar, so you're +1 to wound against them. Angmar are very popular, so that's a very good thing to have hatred against. The king has a very good standfast, and he has got heroic strike, which you will be wanting. And they automatically pass courage tests whilst within 6 of the king, so you might as well bring him. And then you've got Malbeth, who is only 70 points, and he gives everyone pretty much a shrug save. So feel no pain if you're familiar with that, or a fate save. On a 5+, every time you take a wound, roll a dice on a 5+, you ignore it as if it was fate. And that is a 6-inch aura for everyone who is friendly Arnor. Insane. Your Warriors of Arnor are fight 4, which is respectable, only strength 3, but they're courage 2. But they get to ignore courage tests near the king, so you want to be bringing him. And they hate Angmar, so if you go against anything with Angmar, special rule, you are going to beat it to the ground. And they've got access to ranger, and of course Hobbit archers. Very cheap archers that hit on 3s. Fantastic, can't go wrong with that. Next, we've got Rohan. Again, I'm going to put them in the top tier, god tier, because they, well, even with the nerfs on the FAQs, they are still fantastic. A fully mounted Rohan list is a terrifying sight. They can outmaneuver you, they all get bows and don't care about bow limit, so they can shoot you and shoot you and shoot you and kite you until they really want to charge you, and then they'll charge you and probably take you down. You've got Theoden, who is, he's not bad, and he's a relatively cheap hero of legend, extremely cheap actually for 75 points. And of course, all your Rohan cavalry gain +1 strength on the turn they charged. So, solid heroes. Eomer, of course, is very good. So, and we've also got the topic of discussions for a lot of people back when they did the FAQ for Lord of the Rings, is Gamlen, Captain of Rohan. So he is 55 points or 105 points, 115 with a horse, because if you're going fully mounted, you'll stick him on a horse. Yeah, pretty much you get to refresh people's might when they reach 0. So when Theoden, for example, reaches 0 might, and he is within 3 inches of the royal standard, he gains an extra point of might. That is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It used to be it affect every hero in range who had 0 might, which was broken, but now it's only 1, which is still very good. Endless might is always good. Other than that, yeah, fully mounted, +1 strength and charge. You'll probably want some Rohan Royal Guard, because they're amazing. Better fight value pretty much, better defense. Solid pick. And then fill the rest with Riders of Rohan. Next we have got the Wildmen of Dran. Yeah, very low tier. They ignore Stalk Unseen special rule, and they get Mountain Dweller special rule, which is pretty good because they've got Woodland Creature as well. And they've all got Stalk Unseen, so you can hide them and do little ambushes. Very fun faction to play, might I add, even though they are low tier, in my opinion. You have got the guy with the mental name that I'm not going to try and pronounce. Or, you know what, I'll give it a go. Gahan Buri Gahan. I think that's a pretty good attempt. 65 points for him. Hero of Valor. Only fight 4, but he got 3 might, and you're going to want to be bringing him. He comes with Dagger, Spear, and Poison Blowpipe, so you're going to be blowpiping a lot of people from the woods whilst remaining hidden. And he's only got Heroic March and Accuracy, so no strike available to you. But they all have Hatred Goblins, Orcs, and Urukai, which is fantastic. That's +1 to wound against all of them, and a lot of lists include at least one of them, if not more. And all your Wozen warriors, Woes, whatever, are 9 points. So that's not bad. You can churn a lot of dudes out on the table. I think they're a bit overpriced for what they can do, but hey, if you're not fighting goblins, orcs, or urukai, you're pretty much screwed, because all those points are probably going into those stats. Next, we've got Rivendale. Again, high tier. We're going to go for high tier with these. Probably some of the best heroes in the game, and you've got a massive selection. You've got Gil-galad, who's the big bad boy, hero of legend, +1 to wound, fight 9, which is absolutely redonkulous. He gets to reroll one of his dice for his dual roll and one of his dice for wound rolls. And then if he's near a banner, you get to roll 2 of your dice out of your 3 attacks. Stick him on a horse, and he goes to 4 attacks, and he kills everything. Then we've got Elrond, who is terrifying to fight against. He gives all your Rivendale knights ignoring bow limits, so you can have the best cavalry, pretty much. One of the best cavalries in the game that don't care about bow limits, and elves are very good at shooting at 3+, so it's worth doing. Plus he's got access to Wrath of Brynnian, which is a 3-inch aura spell that knocks everyone prone and does, I think, a strength 3 hit on everyone, which will surprisingly kill a lot of things, especially if you're fighting goblins. So Mori are quite popular, so it will be useful, and people are scared of him. Plus he's also fight 6, and he's an elf, and everyone here has got elven weapons, so even if you tie, you're probably still going to win the duel anyway. Glorfindel being amazing, another fight 7 hero, and he can't be rended or brutal powered attacked, and I can't go through all the heroes, but you've got a hell of a lot. The basic warriors are 9 points, 10 points with the shield, 11 points with the spear, and with Gil-galad you can spend an extra point to make them fight 6, so they're on par with Aragorn's fight value. And they've got elven weapons, so is Aragorn, but imagine going against Boromir, for example, and you've got elven weapons with your normal troops. That's horrible. But yeah, again, go for Rivendale Knights. Rivendale Knights list is a fantastic list to play with, because you're probably going to beat them up, because you've got the fight value, you've got the defense, and you've got the +1 to wound with the lance. Amazing. But it's not an elven weapon, so who cares? Lothnorian, another elf faction. Fantastic. Strong tier. We've got Galadriel. She is amazing. Very good spellcaster. Got access to Blinding Light, Blessing of the Valar, 2 of my favourite magical powers. But the downside to this faction is if you bring her and you get Contest of Champions, you are probably not going to win, because she's got a mighty 1 attack, and she's strength 3, and she's very squishy. Rerolling of Fate is not amazing, but yeah. You can get the Mirror of Galadriel, so if your army includes Galadriel, you can also upgrade them to Galadriel Guards at 1 point, and they have a courage of 6 if you really want more courage, which is good against Army of the Dead. And the mirror instantly gives your fate back up to starting value, as long as you're within 6 inch of it. It's insane. And she gets a free point of will each turn. Your basic troopers are pretty much the same as normal elves, as far as I'm aware. You've got Celeborn, who is pretty solid. He's absolutely solid. He's got Lord of the West, which is a scary ability. And he's got magic. Very magical army, and they all have magic resistance, because they don't care about magic, but they want to magic you. The warriors are same points as the Rivendale, and pretty much the same stat line. So, yeah, there you go. And Wood Elf Sentinels. I'll give them an honourable mention here. They can be fun against low courage enemies, because you can move them around as if you were Angmar. Quite fun. Then we've got Fangorn. Fangorn, I'm going to put them in mid, because they're not bad for a monster army, purely because they have a special rule that they are completely unaffected by magical powers or special rules that will prevent them from moving or move them against their will. That is insane. So the common way to deal with monsters is to transfix it or something like that. They are immune to it, and they ignore Nature's Wrath and Wrath of Brynnian as well. So very hard to take down. You're just going to have to kill them in a fair fight, pretty much. Treebeard can bludgeon people, and he's very good. Just fight 8, 3 might, strength 8. He's insane. 3 wounds, defense 8. He's not going to be easy to take down, and he's a hero of legend. Plus you've got the other two named Ents in the Rohan Warbook who have their own respective special abilities, but they're all pretty good. And in the basic Ents, they all come with bludgeon. So you basically pick one model up in a fight that you've won, and he gets to make a strike against every other model in the same combat who is an enemy, and hopefully you kill them all, and then the guy in your hand takes a hit for each enemy you hit with him. Insane. On top of that, they can all throw rocks at range 18, strength 10. That's insane. With a 4+ to hit, mind you. Then we've got the Misty Mountains. One of my favourite armies, purely because it looks beautiful. They get +1 to the strength on the turn they charged, and I'd say, on their own, they're not super high tier. At a stretch mid tier. Purely because they're a monster army and you can just transfix them and gang up on them and trap them. But if we ignore that, you've got Gwai here, who's 150 points. He's fight 8, which means with his access to heroic strike, you need to roll a 2+ to get to fight 10, which is very reliable when you're striking. He's also strength 6, strength 7 on the charge, defense 8, as are all of your eagles. They're all strength 6, defense 8. He comes with 2 attacks, but he has monstrous charge, as do all of them, and they all cause terror. Yeah, solid enough. I like to ally them with the Fellowship or Radagast's Alliance. Then we've got the Kingdom of Kazakh Doom. Do you want a slow army that is very hard to kill and hits really, really hard? Kazakh Doom is a good pick for you. You've got Durin, who is insane, 160 point, hero of legend, and he's defense 9, which is insane. 1 point of defense lower than the Dark Lord himself, who's at 10, so he's not going to be easy to take down. On top of that, you do have access to heroic defense, so you can make only natural 6s wound him, but that only use that against things like Strider or Azog, who auto wound you on 3s or 4s. He comes with strike, and he's got a Master Forge 2-handed axe at strength 4, so he's +1 to wound, ignoring the Burly rule, and he gets to reroll a single dice when making dual rolls. And you get to reroll 1 single priority turn. He's very good. You've got some interesting heroes like Floy, Stonehand, and basically he can switch off people's active or passive special rules. You spend a point of will and you just switch it off. You can't do the One Ring, but other than that, all he needs is line of sight, and that's it, and he switches it off. So the free heroic combats and things like that people get, nope, not with him. Yeah, it can be quite powerful. And then you've got Balin, who is also, he's pretty good. Glossing over the heroes, I would just stop at the King's Champion, because he can be pretty insane. He can get himself up to defense 9 with his heralds, and they're only 140 points for all 3, which is very good. I do like the King's Champion, but in my opinion, you want to bring Durin above everything. Shield Bearers, don't worry about it. Free heroic combat, if you want. And then you've got Kazakh Guard. Right, they've got 2-handed weapons, they're defense 7, and they've got bodyguard. On top of that, for an extra 2 points, you can upgrade them to Hearthguard as long as they're in Durin's warband, and it gives them the Burly special rule. That is insane. I would always do this. Yeah, very strong. So yeah, they're definitely, I think they're quite strong. The only downside is they lack movement, speed, but that's it. Quickly gloss over Wanderers of the Wild, because they're kind of a faction, not really. But yeah, they're good to ally into things, because you've got Tom Bombadil and Goldberry, who have weird shenanigans, like they can't be charged, people can't go in their control zone, and they auto-win fights if they do decide to charge. Yeah, they've got Refreshing Song, so refreshing might, will, and fate and stuff to heroes, and Tom Bombadil has Banishment, which is fantastic, and that's casting on a 3+, so he's very good at getting rid of Wraiths, but he's 160 points, and Goldberry is 140. Other than that, yeah, that's it. So that is all the good factions in Army of the Lord of the Rings, very quickly summed up, very quickly. If I've missed stuff, I will obviously have missed stuff, because it's only 25 minutes long, this video. I do want to break down all the factions. Whoops, dropped my notes. But I thought this would be quite good and handy for beginners. So, there we go. If you enjoyed the video, do consider liking it, so I know people like this kind of content. And if you're feeling especially saintly today, do consider subscribing. But even if you don't do either of those things, I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.